What is going on? It's the DA here for Closers, brought to you by Man Cave Sports. First thing right out of the gate, make sure you like, subscribe, repost, send it to everybody, send it to your friends, your mom, to your best friend in college you don't talk to anymore, annoy your ex-girlfriend, but send her our link. All those views, all those likes, all those everythings obviously help the program, help us get it out there to more people, and we get better content. But with me, as always, James Cooladianos. James, what is going on?
What's going on, buddy? I am super excited. I'm excited to be going live. I'm excited because the baseball season is over and it's my Christmas free agency time. So this is a good day. But, you know, as usual, we're going to have technical difficulties because it doesn't sound like your mic is on the right way. So at least it doesn't sound like it to me. I don't know if our producer thinks it's fine, but I can keep talking while you check it out.
I think your face is wrong.
My face is always wrong, but it doesn't matter because we're live, baby, and I love it.
There you go. James, does that sound better?
That sounds a lot better.
Sounds a lot better. How about that? Right out of the gate, this is our, honestly, this is the best part about this. It's the first time that has been a problem. It's the first time I've had to change my mic on the program. That's a problem. It's a weird thing. I've always had to change my camera. I look better in this one, not in this one.
Yeah.
But that mic, that's the first time I've had to change the mic. That's a very interesting thing. Usually it always pops up to the fancy mic and not like the webcam mic.
Well, let's let everybody know what actually happened. We were supposed to go live exactly at 3, and you know me, I'm a stickler for time from all my years in radio. So when you weren't there at 3 because you told me something was wrong with your computer, and then I heard the mic, I'm like, oh, there's that computer issue. That's why the mic didn't go right. But now that we are back, you look beautiful, you sound beautiful, and it is time.
It is time. This is, okay, I don't know everybody that's ever paid attention to the Bullpen with DA, the next version of the Bullpen with DA, Man Cave Sports, Closers. If you've ever known anything about James Cooladianos, is the fact that this is literally his Christmas. This is it.
Little kids grow up to want to be baseball players. Like I'm sure you did. I'm sure your son JD wants to grow up to be a baseball player. I want to grow up to be Jim Duquette. I want to be a GM. Except I wouldn't trade Scott Kazmir.
You've always made bad decisions about the Mets, so it is perfect for you. This is great. No, in all reality, this is his time of the year that he shines. The problem is we're going to hear the procrastinators. I don't know, stupid.
You know what? So two things.
Sayings. We're going to hear it.
I promised myself I wasn't going to say it. And I wonder if you actually know where that phrase, the prognosticator of prognosticators, comes from. Do you have any idea?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Because it's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's from Groundhog's Day. Bill Murray's brother, Brian Doyle Murray, when he was bringing out the groundhog, said, and here Punxsutawney Phil, the prognosticator of prognosticators, is telling us that we're still going to see more weeks of winter. That's where I got it from.
Funny how little lines in movies. I've seen that movie 5-10 times. Little lines stick to different people in different ways. I know there's lines in other movies where I just can't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
And I'm always talking about people are like, the fuck are you talking about? And then like very, very select few people are like, yeah, I get it. And it's really interesting. It's like being a kid and the memories you have, and like you'll tell your parents, like, do you remember this one time when I was sitting there and this was happening? They're like, you're talking about, and it's like a core memory, and it's a life-changing event to you. And they're like, it was a Tuesday. I just was worried about, like, I was just trying to get home from work. I don't know. But this, again, we're going to say it. This is James's favorite time. James is pretty good about this stuff, but it is the free agency, Major League Baseball free agency, which just hits different. It hits different. There is a different thing about Major League Baseball free agency than NBA, than hockey, than football, than any other type of free agency out there. Football doesn't have a whole lot of crazy signings yet. Like, guys aren't really moving around, like especially quarterbacks. Like good quarterbacks tend to stay forever in a place. Great receivers tend to stay forever. They're franchised out. All that fun jazz. NBA, day one.
Yeah,
like minute one, and then it's over. Then that's it. Hockey, I don't know. What do they do in Russia? I don't know. Does Russia and Canada? I don't know. Do they change maple syrup for vodka? I don't know what they do. But baseball is just better.
Baseball's always been different just because it's the only sport, at least it was for a long time, where you're going to get that massive life and generation changing deal. Because in football, they started doing it with the quarterbacks where they're getting those big $500 million, $600 million deals, but it was never like that before. Hockey doesn't have that kind of money. And the NBA, yeah, they always have huge numbers AAV, but it's never like, oh, I'm going to give LeBron a 17-year, $750 million deal. It was always, hey, okay, he's going to be there 4 years, $200 million.
Yes. We do have one signing already. We got I do want to hit this before we hit our top 10 Major League free agents with James's predictions on money and maybe where they're going to go. Possibly, but he's gonna be better about the money than where they go. I guarantee you that, because he'll get all the where they're going wrong, but he'll get the money pretty good. Yes, Michael Wacha, right? Michael Wacha already signed. So
Waka.
Michael Wacha already signed, which is pretty cool. Usually there aren't too many guys signing right out of the gate. Usually it's guys waiting a little bit and all this stuff. But he signed a 3-year deal with the Kansas City Royals. Great deal for him. Good money, $51 million. So that is a great deal for him, and where his career's kind of been a little here, a little there, some high, super highs, some lows, and then great year in Kansas City. So this is a good signing by Kansas City to bring back a good guy. I guarantee you he was a good piece in that rotation as far as like the leadership role and just a good guy in the locker room. I've heard great things about him. Been around him a little bit, but not too much.
And right now it's 3:10 Eastern time on a Monday, and we're supposed to know by 5 o'clock today whether or not the Yankees are going to pick up the option on Garrett Cole. He's not in my top 10. I'm thinking that the Yankees are stupid as sin if they don't pick up that option on Garrett Cole, add the extra year so that he can stay, because he opted out.
Because he opted out, which is it's not saying he doesn't want to be a Yankee. That's just a smart move as a baseball player and stuff. That it's got nothing to do with wanting to be on a team or not. That's just what you got to opt out. Like it's a great move, smart move. He will make his money regardless, and he'll probably be a Yankee regardless. But that's the right move for him. So
I give it a 95% chance that he's a Yankee, and that might be low.
With how he's pitched there, the Cy Young last year and everything, even coming back from injury, how he pitched in the playoffs, wanting the ball, just being a kind of a bulldog, and at the same time staying out of media limelight and being stupid in any other way. Without a doubt, I think they picked him up.
And there's only 2 or 3 aces available on the free agent. So why would you not re-sign Garrett Cole and have to, bid against yourself? Because you're going to need an ace on the Yankees.
Without a doubt. You always need an ace, and he's an ace. He's an ace's ace. Right now in Major League Baseball, there are guys that might have better years and better stuff. Well, here, well, there, all this stuff, but he's so consistent, so good. And he's a winner.
And he can handle New York.
Yes, I couldn't. Couldn't handle New York.
That's because you had a jackass that kept bothering you while you were on the Mets and the Yankees.
I actually had no problem with New York. I would say this. I would have loved to experience the Yankees when I was a little younger, a little healthier. Like I had my major hip surgery, Tommy John. I was coming back from that, trying to battle and get back. It wasn't the right time. Like there's points in your life, points in your baseball career, especially after injuries, where it just takes you a little bit to get back a little bit closer to your normal self. I would have loved to have seen what I could have done in New York in like 08, 09, 10. And I know I would have been able to handle it, no problem. I was great with media. I could shut myself off of that stuff and not look at it. Thank God Twitter wasn't really in existence yet until like 10, 11, all that stuff. So I think I would have loved it. I would have loved to have checked it out. And I think I would have fit in great in, in that Yankee bullpen when I was healthy.
It would have cost you so much money in tickets, though.
Yeah. Well, yes. But I would have. Andrea would have had a line. My wife would have definitely thrown out the gauntlet. Anyways, more important stuff than talking about like what ifs if I would have been decent at baseball in New York City. Our top 10, we put this together, compiled it. James had a lot of influence on this because James knows what he's talking about. I have too much emotion. I know these guys a little too much. No, but we put this together. It's a great list. At number 10, we're going to get right to it. ex kind of teammate of mine, ex guy I've worked with a lot, Teoscar Hernandez of the Brooklyn Dodgers, the World Series champion. Brooklyn, you got to throw it out there. You're Brooklyn. So Brooklyn Dodger, World Series champion. He was Blue Jay, Dodger now. Huge piece of this Dodgers team. He was an MVP candidate throughout most of all the season, especially while their real MVPs were getting hurt and out for games and deciding to try to rehab from Tommy John. I mean, all this stuff. He just constantly just carried this team.
Not only did he carry this team, everybody loves him. He obviously, if you saw his, his little press conference that he had at the parade, he loves the Dodgers. He wants to be a Dodger. For me, he's going to be a Dodger. I don't think there's any question that he's going to stay with Los Angeles. And I'm putting him at $100 million over the next 4 years. He is 32 years old, so I can't give him any longer than that. Obviously, this really is going to rely on whether or not the Dodgers get Juan Soto. I don't think that's going to happen. I still have Juan Soto going somewhere else. There's a few different options that I think that Juan Soto would go to before. But Teoscar just fits in LA. He looks like he's the glue to that team. Yeah, you have, Mookie Betts. Yeah, you have Shohei Ohtani. But they really, really needed him in the playoffs and down the stretch. This is the guy. There's no reason to go after him. What do you think about $100 million for 4 years for Teoscar?
I think that's fair. I think that makes a lot of sense. So you're looking at an AAV of $25 million. I think it's simple. I think he's a guy that's been producing. I don't want to go with him. I think you said it right. He's 32. I don't want to go more than 4 years. And I might be eating the 1 year on that contract a little bit. At the same time, his production has just been so good. He's in this lineup. It fits really well. Again, he's got a 10 WAR or 17 WAR, and he has 4 of that in this year. Mm-hmm. So you just know it works in this lineup. He's had some great years in the past. With Toronto, he had some good years. With Houston, he was there for a little bit. But really, this last year, and man, for me, I think that's a great number, and I think it's a perfect fit in LA. I wouldn't change a dang thing if I'm the Dodgers, and it's not going to take a giant pocketbook to get him.
If he doesn't stay in the Dodgers, let's just say for shits and giggles that the Dodgers sign Juan Soto. Give me some options where you think Teoscar would really fit.
Well, here's the thing. When I'm looking at Teoscar too, this is an interesting thing. The one thing I said too is like the Royals need some veterans. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at two, depending on Santander, like it might be a Baltimore thing, get him in the outfield there. Yep. Baltimore's got some interesting questions and veteran leadership things. I think the Royals, I think Baltimore might be a good fit. And you never know. There's always a dark horse out there, and the Red Sox.
Let's not forget the Yankees. The Yankees, if they lose Soto, they're going to need someone to patrol in right field. And Teoscar, he's going to come at a reasonable contract. He is the type of guy who can really thrive over there. He did it in LA. There's no reason why he can't do it in New York. I think the Yankees would be a good possibility for him as well.
Without a doubt. So Teoscar Hernandez, your prediction is the Dodgers for 4 years, $100 million. But there's a lot of places I think he's definitely going to have a lot of phone calls.
Absolutely.
Don't think contracts going to be that long, but a lot of phone calls. Our number 9 is a Cy Young winner from the Ohio's Guardians, Shane Bieber. This dude was an absolute stud a couple years ago. Great pitcher, great stuff. 29 years old, going to be turning 30 here, in the next season. Absolute great pitcher, great stuff. Spent all of this entire season hurt. Came back, pitched a couple games. But this dude is a stud.
Yeah, he's an absolute stud. I know his velocity was down a little bit, but hopefully, post-surgery, he's going to be, back. His velocity could tick up a little bit. Because of the health issues, I have him signing a 2-year deal with the second year being a player option. I would give him, if I was a GM, I would give him 2 years, $38 million, 18 for the first, and then 20 for the player option in the second.
2 years, 38. That's all you think he's going to get?
Yeah, I don't because of the injury history, I think people are going to be a little afraid. Plus, he had the little dip in velocity. it's going to be a show me contract for Bieber. I would love to get him. And honestly, I think he is destined to be a Met. If you saw what they did last year with their rotation, this is the type of guy that I think Stearns would really go after. I think the Guardians would like him. There's a few teams that should really go after him. The Orioles, if they lose if they lose Corbin Burnes, this is somebody they should definitely be going after.
I see that. I do think the Guardians, again, this is a great place for the Guardians to be able to step up here and keep a man. He's been there forever. I think he's going to get a heck of a lot more than a 2-year contract, personally. Young enough, coming off of Tommy John. Yes, there's going to be the dip and all that stuff. But right before that, he was the best pitcher in baseball. I see him getting a 3 or 4 year, probably even 5 year. Now, again, I do think there's going to be some stuff in there, some stuff to maybe protect teams a little bit. It might be more of an incentive base, but again, this guy was a Cy Young winner, so probably not. He's going to have some straight up money. I do like your idea with the Mets. I think this is a good spot. The Mets have to rebuild their entire rotation. It's a good place to be. It's not going to be crazy expensive, but it will cost a good amount of money. For me, especially, I don't know. I look at it this. If I'm a team, he is exactly the type of guy I'm circling going. It's going to be affordable at the same time. He was great a year ago in Tommy John. Again, he came back from Tommy John. He's already gone through that process. Now we're going to be sitting there and looking at him saying, okay, he's going to be a difference maker when he's full out and full back. So I want Shane Bieber on my team, and maybe the first year won't be like beautiful and gorgeous and amazing stuff. That second year, third year, fourth year, I think he's going to be really good.
Another team that I would look out for, possibly San Francisco. If they end up losing Blake Snell, they're going to need to get a big-time pitcher to go in there. The Giants have the money. They like these kind of players. I can definitely see Bieber as a San Francisco Giant as well, but my pick would be the Mets with this guy.
And he's a guy who's originally from California too, so I mean Southern California, but like that's one of those things would be a great fit. I think he is a California kind of guy. I'm totally up for it. All right, number 8 might be the most underrated baseball player in all of Major League Baseball, in all the world. This dude is an absolute stud. Anthony Santander, Santander, whatever you want to call him. If you did not ever hear an announcer say his name, you'd have no idea how to say it. But Anthony Santander, what?
What about Santander Bank?
Santander Bank. I do. It works. Whatever.
There is a bank called Santander, so I know it just off of the bank. Maybe it's an East Coast thing. I don't know.
Liar. Anyways, this dude, the one thing you do know is when he's parking baseballs into the outfield, when you're out there getting souvenirs, you know him. And you know him strongly. It is pretty sad that his WAR is 2.9. That is disrespecting this man and what he is capable of. There at times has single-handedly kept Baltimore into it this season as well. With all the star power and all the young studs, this dude just kept crushing the ball. He has had a couple of years that are just insane numbers. I respect this guy so much for what he's done under the radar. And like in an American League East in right field, which is just pure power dudes, this was the best one of them. Soto's great. Soto's awesome, but Soto brings so much to the table. Pure power. He's 44 home runs in Baltimore is no joke anymore.
Yeah, and if you're a team that is looking to get Soto and you don't get Soto, this is the guy you can go after. You can say, you know what? Instead of spending $600 million, let me get Alex Bregman, Santander. I can use that $600 million and get 4 guys or 3 guys. He's going to have to wait to get his contract because he plays the same position as Juan Soto. Everybody's going to go after him early, especially the teams with the big pockets. So Santander, unfortunately, he's going to have to wait. I have him going at $130 million over 6 years. He is 30 years old. That's just what I mean. And you said it. He's an under-the-radar guy. So if you're a team like, let's say, Seattle, and you go out and get Santander, that's not going to make too many Mariners fans, proud. They will understand that he's a good ball player, but he is not that big marquee name, despite what he has done, on the field. So you're going to get a little bit of a discount for him, and that's why I'm giving him 130 over 6.
Yeah, he's a 240 hitter. Here's the thing. He's a 240 hitter. He's going to get on base. He had 41 doubles last year, 25 this year, 44 home runs, 28 home runs, 33 home runs going backwards. And so this is a dude that puts the ball over the fence and gets doubles, 102 RBIs this year, 95 the year before, 90 basically the year before that. So he's going to, if there's guys on base, he's going to drive them in. If you're in Seattle, yes, he doesn't make waves. He doesn't sit there and go, oh my God, I'm going to market this guy and he's going to be the face of the franchise. At the same time, you add him in a lineup. This dude is an absolute stud, and with him, with a couple guys in front of him, maybe a guy behind him, he's an absolute menace to hitters right now. To pitchers right now. Yes, he's a little bit on the older side, but that's usually what you're getting at free agency, first-time free agents popping out there. You're going to get 30-year-olds. That's what you get in Major League Baseball. But again, 5 years, you're going to get, I think, 5 really good more years out of them. I honestly, and I talked about this with a buddy of mine with the Blue Jays, and I said, like, the Blue Jays are sitting here, they've got all the money in the world. They're representing an entire country. People don't understand that. They represent an entire country, not a city, not a state, a country. And they've got more true fans than any other team in Major League Baseball. Okay, just straight up, they do. They've got over 40 million fans that they can count, like, straight up, that they own, and no one else does. Their problem is this dude is putting up numbers like an AL East right fielder should, and right now the Blue Jays do not have that. I see him as a Toronto Blue Jay through and through. I don't think there's another team that's going to – I think if I'm – for my money, you make a huge offer to Soto, and you immediately make an offer to him, and if he takes it, you take him. And if you take it, then you switch, and exactly what you said, you go get 5 other free agents for the money you're going to give Soto, and you go get 5 guys and make your team better. I think the Yankees could do this. I'll be honest. I saw a guy on Twitter or whatever talking about it. I already had the idea. We've already talked about it. Like, what's the aggregate, right? And that's Moneyball. That's all Moneyball talked about. Do you take Soto, or do you go get Bregman? Do you go get Santander? Do you go get a starter, and then you go get a reliever? And you're like, dude, we are a much better team. We just solved 4 problems for the price of 1. Yep. And that, to me, is kind of like what the Giants tried to do when they waited and brought in Chapman and brought in all these guys. Like, at the last second, you're like, okay, well, you're actually just answering a couple problems. It didn't work out. Not those guys did great, but their bigger problems didn't work out. But you got to look at this guy. He's an all-star. He's getting better. I am jumping all over Anthony Santander and trying to get him on my team.
I agree with you, and Toronto would be a great place. I didn't really give them that much of a chance to sign him because I think he's going to end up going back to Baltimore. However, if Toronto wants him, I think they're going to have to add $20 million to the offer that I gave him of $130. It'll have to be 6 for $150 just because of the taxes in Canada. There is no chance he's going to leave that kind of money on the table.
Yeah, it's getting closer, though. It's getting closer. I mean, again, you're talking about you're talking about sitting over there in Maryland. You're sitting in New York. It's not crazy different, but again, there is a difference, and it's something to definitely talk about and agents talk about. But like, you're looking at these teams, Washington. You're looking at the Nationals and Baltimore. So you're looking at anywhere in there, right? Virginia, Maryland, whatever that is, and you're looking at New York. Like, you're gonna get hit no matter what if you're in that grouping. But Toronto will get you the most. But I do think there's a lot of value there, and he's underrated. Where the next dude on this list, I don't know if he's ever been underrated. He's been a World Series champion over and over. Like, this dude is as frustrating as it gets. He has gotten it done. God damn. And I'm gonna give him like the lowest. Like, I'm gonna mo-hum this because he was on that Astros team. Alex Bregman at number 7, and he's with that group of cheaters. At the end of the day, though, he is a free agent, and he's a pretty. It's so
funny that you mentioned the cheating, because that's the reason I'm giving him such a low valuation. I think a lot of people around baseball are worried about how inflated his numbers were while they were cheating. You could see last year he started off very, very slow. He ended up getting better. I'm giving him
bad timing for go walking into your free agency year, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to give him $190 million over 8 years, and I think he's going to stay with Houston. I don't think that anybody is going to open up the bank to get him. I think it would be a good story if he finished up with Houston, but in order for him to do that, he's going to have to take less. And you're talking $190 million over 8 years. what is that? 100 million divided by 8. You're looking at an AAV just short of 24 million. I think that's fair. He is 30 years old. That's going to take him through 38. So what do you think about that valuation?
Well, here's the thing. He started off slow, right? He started off slow. But in 2022, he had 23 home runs. 2023, he had 25 home runs. 2024, he had 26 home runs. He had 259, 262, 260. You're looking at OPS plus of 134, 122, 118. That's gone down a little bit, but not crazy. It's definitely gone down. But his OPS has gone down a little bit. So, yeah, you're seeing a little bit here and a little bit there. But I've talked to people across the league, and they're like, this dude is legit. It's not inflated. Yes, his greatest years were right in that smack dab, like across the face in those cheating years. At the same time, like this dude has had, there's some good things. And what kind of pops my mind, and this is the interesting, he had 119 walks in 2019. He had 44 this year, but he had 92 last year. So like something changed this year where he wasn't seeing the ball the same, wasn't getting walked. I mean, his walks were half. That's an interesting thing. And when you're still hitting the same amount of home runs, though. So there's a lot of value there. And I'm sitting there going, okay, something changed, something moved. For me, it's a tough question with the Astros, right? And this is the thing we've asked with the Astros before is how do you recover from losing some of these guys? Yeah. How do you recover from losing a Correa, from losing a Verlander, from losing a Cole, from losing a insert name here? Yeah. Do they have somebody in place? Because they probably have in the past. Every single time we've said that, they've had an Astro sitting there in minor league baseball about to become the next star of Major League Baseball. I don't see him going anywhere besides the Astros. I just think he is going to become a career Astro. I think that means something to him. It just seems like he is an Astro through and through. I just don't think he's going to get the money he wants in free agency. I think he's going to end up being one of those guys that sits and holds and holds and holds. I don't see him. I might be crazy on this. I don't see him being an early signer. I see him being a guy that wants more money than he's necessarily worth at this point, or more years than he's worth. That might be more appropriate way to say it. The dude's a stud, incredible third baseman, great hitter, but there are some things that you're sitting there going, okay, like is this like the beginning of the going down period where like Santander is going up? Like it's clearly going up. And so that's one big question for me. But I see this as the Astros are going to get him back. Altuve's going to make a phone call, whatever it is. He's going to want his boy in that middle of that lineup, and he's going to end up staying an Astro.
You give him the money I said? Is that too much, too little? Give me your thoughts. 190 over.
I give it 6 years.
You give it 6.
I give it 6. If you're going to go like 24 million over 6 years, so I'm going to sit there. That's 118 million dollars. Is that? I think my simple math is 130 something, 140 something, 140. I give it 140 million over 6.
I think he's going to wait and get till the end of my career for a cheaper price. That's just what I think. We'll see what ends up happening. Before we move on to the next guy, since we are live, we have somebody in the comments who has a question. Drake wants to know, do free agency signings typically happen the day free agency opens? Drake, absolutely not. This is not like football. This is not like basketball. They wait. You're talking about life-changing money for the most part. It's not a $30 million deal. It's a $400 million deal. You will see most of these guys wait 1 month, 6 weeks, sometimes even more. Dave, you agree?
100%. And that's the thing about it is Major League Baseball, especially what we've seen over the last 4 years, 5 years, it's gotten later and later and later in the process. Usually the winter meetings, which are the first week of December, is it? I think it's first week of December, whatever that is. Winter meetings are usually when things pop, especially when you have a year like this year where you have a couple pretty big boy free agents. Yeah, you had the biggest of all boys last year in Ohtani. You have a massive guy this year in Soto. Everything waits kind of for him. And they had Judge, 2 years ago? And so usually everything waits for that first domino to fall. But in Major League Baseball, everything usually is slow. It's a long, free agency is a long period. I mean, last year the hottest time was probably that week before the season started. Yep. Was that actual like the hottest free agency time. And that's the thing about Major League Baseball. It can go the whole time. I think, I'll be honest, I think in basketball there's so much behind the scenes working with the agents that are illegal activities. In Major League Baseball, they do not, like, there's no point. There's no point to be doing it. Like, it's too high of a risk. No one does it. So Waka signing to me was pretty easy and clear. It's the team that already offered that and wanted to just wait for day one, and they agreed on terms. He's the only one that's signed.
It's one of those things. You love us, we love you. Let's get it done today. No reason to wait.
Yeah, here's fair money. This is fair money for you, fair money for us. Organization keeps moving. Why wait? And that had already been talked about. I guarantee you that had already been agreed upon, like for 2 weeks. And that team's free to negotiate with them all they want. They can talk. No one else can until the World Series is over.
Yeah, Waka should have done what A-Rod did a few years ago and make it all about himself and announce it right during a World Series game.
Right? How about that?
Yeah.
Now moving on, Drake, I love the question. If anyone else out there has any questions, Drake, and if you got more questions, dude, go for it. We will try to answer all we can as we're doing the recording. I was doing this. I love this. This is the first time being live, so that's awesome. Our next dude, number 6 on the list, is a Atlanta Braves pitcher, Max Fried.
Yeah, Max Fried, great pitcher. I have him going to either the Mets, the Braves, the Orioles, the Red Sox, all the usual suspects, everybody who needs pitching and has plenty of money. I've got him going $185 million over 7 years. I just don't know where. If I had to guess, I'd say he'd probably stay with the Braves, but I have no idea on Max Fried. Your thoughts?
My problem with Max Fried, he's a stud. He's had some incredible years. It's just, where do people trust the full-on health? I know he made 29 starts this year, but like, are they 100% confident in him, right? And that's only going to be for some of my stuff here, but again, like, he's an absolute stud. I see him going back to the Braves. I see that it was being a good relationship, unless there's something there behind closed doors that we don't know about. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's been a Brave, like, let him stay a Brave. That's what I see. From a money standpoint, yeah, I give it one less year. Same thing with like kind of Bregman. I'll take one less year on that. I don't think he's going to get to 7. I don't think anybody's going to look out there and go to 38 years old. So I think we're going to get 6 years. 6 years, what that works out to be, 155.
Something like that. But here's my thing. I'm giving him 185 over 7 because that brings his AAV down to 26.5. And I think teams are looking to keep the AAV down so that way they stay under the luxury tax. And in this case, you've got a guy who's going to stay there long term. He's going to want. What would you rather do? Would you rather give him 4 years with big money up front, or would you rather him have that reasonable AAV, even though you're probably going to have to eat 2 or 3 years at the end, but it puts you in a better position for the luxury tax?
For me, it depends on the player, depends on the age. There's times
31.
There's at 31. So that for me, it's him. Keep the AAV down, like I said, but I still don't think you need to go to 7. I think you can keep the $24 million AAV-ish, 24-ish, and just give him the 6. And that's still going to be a really good number. It's going to be super competitive with other teams out there. And I do think he ends up going back to the Braves.
Okay. Fair enough.
All right. Number 5, super under the radar. This is a solid, very, very solid player. Stud.
I love this guy.
Dude, love him because he is just a baller. Willy Adames of the Milwaukee Brewers. All the Brewers know how to do is win.
Or Willy Adames, if you want to be. I know you were being facetious, but it's Willy Adames for all of you watching. Don't give Ards any hate tweets. He knows exactly who it is. People don't know when you're joking. You're not very good at that, FYI.
That's the point. That's the idea. Is like it's supposed to be under the radar. You're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
What was the other one? It was Michael Jordan.
Yeah, when I said, "Hey,
totally under the radar," just go with it. Like act and like it's supposed to catch you. That's the point. That's the point of jokes. Anyway. If I told you it's a joke, like that's like oh, that's not a joke.
Anyway, Willy Adames, 29 years old. He is, and there's something that I missed on that little file. If you're watching here on YouTube, you can see we made this pretty little file with the teams that I think he might go to, but I missed the biggest one, and I think this is where he's going to end up going if he doesn't re-sign with the Brewers. The Dodgers. They need him at shortstop. I think he is the perfect fit. He will go, he's just perfect, and I'm going to give him 150 over 6 years.
I think it's smart. I actually agree with you. It's really interesting you said the Dodgers, because that was my first one that I was thinking of. It's absolutely perfect spot for him. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. The only thing about it is Tommy Edman played pretty good.
Yeah.
Do you sit there and say, Tommy Edman, you're my Dodger shortstop? Or when you're saying Willy Adames, my God. Now I started screwing myself up. When you see him out there, do you go for him, or do you go with who's in house? I think they need to sit, like, he's so good defensively. He's so good offense. Like, he brings this energy. He reminds me of Kike so much. Just like Kike when he was like super younger and better, right? Like, that energy and him being there and being somewhere else too and winning. What do you do? Where do you go? Like, because that's a big question. Like, do you take the guy in house, or do you go out of house and keep spending more money? Eventually, at some point, it's going to catch up to the Dodgers.
So I was listening to our good friends Jim Bowden and Jim Duquette yesterday on MLB Network Radio. If you are ever in the car and you have the opportunity to listen to those two, they have that front office show, which is just fantastic. So much love to our guys over there. Jim Bowden said something really, really smart. Teams way too often, like, especially after they win a championship, they say, hey, this guy got us the championship, let's reward him. He brought up the example of Aubrey Huff with the San Francisco Giants, and they gave him a terrible contract because they wanted to make, give him his due for what he did. And I don't think the Dodgers are that type of organization. I think they're smart enough to realize, hey, there's a great option out there. Yes, we are very happy with Tommy Edman and what he did for us, but we are looking to build a dynasty over the next 5-6 years while we have those guys. Willy Adames just fits. He's that guy. He should be a Dodger. If he's not a Brewer, I would love to see him on the Mets. I don't think that's going to happen, though.
And they need somebody in that second half of that lineup, too, to add a little bit more. I mean, but again, you're looking at this team, you're like, no matter how many times we say it, they still have holes in the back end of that lineup. Like, guys that stepped up, got a little here, a little there, but we didn't see, in all reality, right? We didn't see a Max Muncy, Edman, Lux, any of these guys really just dominate baseball games. They had their moments. Yeah. But, like, Willie can do that and play a great baseball, a great shortstop any day of the week. You've got no questions. You just plug and play. And then you what happens is when you have a guy like him, you tend to get to that top of the order quicker. And it seems like those guys are getting more appearances, and you're still trying to figure out why, but it's because of guys like this that they're just constantly creating action on the base pass, at the plate. Like, defensively, they're taking the pressure off those guys. They don't have to be a superstar, and that's a beautiful part about what he's going to be able to do. And that's one thing they do have to figure out, right? When you're sitting there in Milwaukee, and you don't have the pressure every single night. Yep. You're a great baseball team, but you don't have that pressure. There's a different pressure.
You don't have 50 reporters in there every night.
Is he flourishing because of that? And does he feel like he's the stud? Does he feel like the spotlight's on him so he gets to enjoy that? And then you go to LA and the spotlight's not on him. It's on the team. And there's pressure. There's pressure there to win every night, but it's on, it's on Betts, it's on Ohtani, it's on Freeman, it's on that rotation. And does he kind of feel like to the wayside, like, oh, I'm just nobody now? And so that's the interesting thing. Like, you got to find that out from a mentality standpoint, if you can, to see if somebody like him is going to excel or actually decline. Because I think there's a big part to be a big fish in a small pond, where you excel, and then you get to be a small fish in a big pond, and you just kind of fall to the wayside, and you don't have that little extra like look at me type. Some guys want the look at me attitude. Soto wants to look at me, like, check me out, and I
don't think so at all. But anyway,
I think what it is, it's not a dickhead, it's not a cocky attitude. It's like, he loves the spotlight. He loves to be up at the plate when the game's on the line in Yankee Stadium. And there's a difference with it, but a guy like But with Willie, when he has that spot, but then you go to Dodger Stadium, you don't anymore, right? Because it ends up being Ohtani, ends up being Betts, ends up being Freeman. They cheer louder for those guys than they will ever cheer for Willie, no matter how good he is. Soto was different, right? Like Soto comes up and like gets the loudest cheer you'll ever hear, and then Judge the same. And so it's like he gets that energy, that little extra moment. If he goes to Miami, he might just fall off the face of the earth because you don't have those moments where some guys go to Miami and they just excel because they don't care about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just look at Willy Adames and I think Francisco Lindor light.
Yeah. I see Francisco Lindor light and Kike Hernandez heavy.
Yeah.
I think
if Kike and Lindor had a baby, it would be Willy Adames or
yes.
William Adams.
All right, number 4, Cy Young winner, 5 and dive extraordinaire, Blake Snell. You later. I'm out after I threw 5 innings and 25 strikeouts. I don't want to pitch the 6th.
Yeah, and I think that's the big problem with him. He's, he's 31, almost 32 years old. He's that guy that'll only give you 5 innings. I personally don't think that he is worth giving a major contract to. I think he's that guy that you just say, hey, here's a 3-year deal. Here's $100 million. Thank you. Do your thing, but I'm not going 7 years. And that's what I'm predicting. $100 million over 3 years for Blake Snell, and I don't know where the hell he's going to go because I think
you're absolutely insane.
Okay.
One, this is the worst prediction you've ever had. This is personal versus what he's actually going to get. You got personal.
No, I don't know Blake. How am I going to say it's personal?
You got personal. Dude, he's going to get $45 million a year. He's in a 40 a year. Like
he's going to get 40 a year?
He's in 40.
I do not think so, my friend.
He had 14 starts after his IL appearance this year. Do you know his numbers after that?
They were ridiculous. He was amazing.
1.2.
He's a 5-inning pitcher.
He was 5-0 with a 1.2 and a 38% strikeout rate. James, 38%. James, I was a strikeout pitcher. I was 24%. He is a starter. He was a starter at 30. Actually, I looked that up. I wasn't all that bad one compared to the rest of the league. Anyways,
fair enough.
He was a 38%. His whip was under 1. I mean,
all right. So tell me what's he getting at?
He also threw a no-hitter, and he was a Cy Young winner last year.
So, all right. So if he was anybody else, if he wasn't a 5-inning pitcher, I would say give him 210 over 7 years or 6 years. But I'm not doing that. If I'm the GM, if I'm Jim Duquette or if I'm Jim Bowden, I'm not giving him more than 3 years.
I think the biggest problem, and this is what's going to affect GMs more than anything, because they know exactly who he was. One, this is actually the first time he's pitched more than like 6 innings, right? We actually started going out there and doing normal starter stuff with Cy Young winner stuff.
And why did he do that?
What?
And why did he do that?
Because I think he finally wanted to prove he could.
I think it's because it was his walk year.
I think it was because he was a Ray, and the Rays raised him to be a 5 and dive. You don't do anything more than this. I think he also has an attitude of I don't have to, and that's what Major League Baseball wants, and that's true. It's actually correct, and that's a problem with it. Is some guys still have an old school mentality, some guys have a new school mentality, and this is what Major League Baseball wants. I don't think they care. And if you look at the starters in the World Series and all this stuff, like 5 and dive is a great start now, and he is made for Major League Baseball 2024. Blake Snell is literally the Major League Baseball equivalent of 2024, 2025. If you could explain what pitching is, just use his picture, be like 5 and dive, a lot of strikeouts. He's going to get $40 million. But the biggest thing that GMs are going to shy against, this dude signed a massive deal and took a walk on his first year. Left the contract. He got the money he wanted, then opted out. I don't blame him for opting out. Don't blame him. I just don't understand where he thinks he's going to get more and all this stuff. I don't know. There's something in there probably. I'm sure that he's going to get more money or more guarantees or something. But I have a problem with the GM that going, okay, to even negotiate with you, I need to put in opt-outs. And then you're going to opt out. Like, Why am I going to waste my time and waste my money, waste my fans' energy on you if you're just going to opt out? Like, okay, why don't I just give you a 1-year deal, dude? Unless you suck, then you're going to stay in. And that's my problem with this. And that's where I think GMs are going to have a giant phone call with him and slap him across the face with reality and say, something's got to give here. And I'm not going to give you opt-out, but he's going to fight for an opt-out. And this dude is going to sit there and hold out again and hold out again. And that's maybe the only reason he doesn't get 40 a year is just because he holds out. But at the same time, it's going to be, I still think it's going to be close. So for me, for my money, for everything, he sounds perfect for the Mets and to ruin the organization.
If he's a Met, I'm going to be pissed. All right, move on.
All right, number 3, guy I would put way more money on and trust in and everything. Corbin Burnes of the Baltimore Orioles, formerly of the Milwaukee Brewers, Cy Young winner in the past, absolute freaking studzola. This dude I want on my team. I want his ball. He wants the baseball, and he wants the baseball, and he wants to toe that rubber. And 32 starts this year. Great ERA for me. I had him as my Cy Young winner at one point. About halfway through the year, I said he is going to win the Cy Young because he's going to be pitching in meaningful baseball games in September and doing it. Tarek Skubal I didn't think was, and then Tarek Skubal decided to say, hey, I'll start like literally every game for the Tigers and go win a Cy Young and literally pitch into October. So Tarek Skubal, congratulations, you're going to win it. Corbin Burnes, though, is an absolute stud. I want him on my team. It doesn't, man. I want him. Like, that's it. Like, he should be everybody should be going after him.
The Orioles are young. The Orioles don't have much in the terms of starting pitchers after him. He makes perfect sense to return to the Orioles. I don't think there's any way that the Orioles screw this up and don't re-sign him. $225 million over 7 years, just over 30, but I'm giving him length.
Do not go to the Dodgers, Corbin. You will get hurt. You will get hurt. Do not go. Every starting pitcher that goes to the Dodgers gets hurt. Stop it. They even signed guys hurt. Don't do it. Don't go out there and be a Dodger. I don't think he'll be a Dodger. I don't think, in my reality, I don't think there's enough money there in what it's going to take. I don't know. I also think he loved Baltimore. I could see him staying there. I would also see him waiting a little bit to see what they do with Santander, with right field, with some of their other problems that they have to solve, and see that they're going to commit that money to it, because they haven't committed money yet. No. They haven't. They're like new owners in Baltimore, knew everything, but they haven't made that next commitment to any of those guys. Think about this. All of those young studs are still like we don't know what's going to become. I think he's going to wait a little bit. I don't know if he has the balls to say it, but he should tell them, make some commitments to some other guys, and then I'll choose to stay. Like, if that's him, I'm going to say, and assign this next 7-year contract, which I think your money, by the way, is right. If I'm going to sign the 7-year contract, I need to know like that we're not a 3-and-out kind of organization. I'm going to be sitting here for 4 years pissed. Like, show me a little bit. And that takes a lot. I don't know if anybody would actually have the willingness and balls to say that. But if I'm him, I would do it, and I'm going back to Baltimore.
Absolutely. Just makes too much sense. I mean, think about this. He was in the AL East and still pitched to an under 3 ERA. He belongs there.
He belongs there. That's incredible. I know this isn't 1995 anymore, but 3 ERA still in the AL East matters.
Let me ask you one question. When was the last time prior to Corbin Burnes the Orioles had an ace? I mean, was it Mussina? I can't think of anybody that has been an ace.
Ubaldo.
He wasn't an ace with them.
He had a little bit, right? Didn't he have a little bit? No,
barely.
Rockies.
I mean, he was great with the Rockies, but
great point. No one again. He's an ace. He's an ace. He's a Garrett Cole type of thing. He's an ace. Okay, Corbin Burnes or Garrett Cole.
Oh, I gotta take Cole just because of the fact that he can play under those circumstances in New York, but it is really, really close. I wouldn't be pissed with either pitcher.
Garrett Cole, I think Garrett Cole. I don't even think about it because it's like, I don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining if I had Corbin Burnes, but Garrett Cole's done it. Did it in Pittsburgh, did it in Houston, did it there. Like knows how to put rings on his fingers. He knows how to take the ball in New York and fight for it. And he gave up, dude. The dude gave up 6 or whatever it was, and got to go back out in the like. Nobody gets that, and he went out and then did pitch well after that. Like. That's my dude. I want both of those to have the ball. All right. Now the most overrated player on your list at number 2.
Okay, continue. I'm sorry to cut you off.
You can all piss all you want. The most overrated guy on your list. Actually, I don't have any problem with it. Pete Alonso, the polar bear, the New York Met first baseman, well, formerly New York Met first baseman. If he goes, I'm sorry, but this organization is falling apart unless they sign a whole bunch of guys. I can't even picture him in another uniform yet. Like, out of everybody on this entire list, like he's the one that I can't even see in another uniform yet. And I picture everybody else. I'm like, yeah, I could see him in that. I could see him in this. I can see. I do not see him in any other uniform. I have ideas of where he's going to go, but I want to hear your thoughts.
So, whether the Mets sign Juan Soto or not, they have to bring back Pete Alonso, because you are not going to find another player who's going to put up 35 home runs, 100 RBIs, play in New York under the scrutiny that he did during a walk year, and still was a stud enough in the playoffs to do what he did against the Brewers, and then played pretty damn good against the Dodgers. I think he belongs with the Mets. He is going to retire a Met. He is going to break all their records, because right now it's all Darryl Strawberry and David Wright, and neither one of them finished their careers as a Met, which is crazy. I'm going to give him $175 million over 6 years. He is just shy of 30. He's going to be 30 in a month. I think it's a very fair deal. It's just short of $30 million per year, which is a low AAV, but it's giving him guaranteed money for a guy whose numbers have gone down each year over the last 4 years, but is still bringing a lot to the table.
Okay, so I think he's going to get more money than that. I think he's going to get 6. I think he's going to be 350 range.
Oh, no way.
Sorry, 250. I meant 250
Oh,
range.
God, you almost gave me a heart attack.
I think he's easy going to be 250, 275 range. I think he had a very underrated year. I think he was getting trashed by the media so early, and that it wasn't called for. It wasn't called for because, honestly, it was because other players on the team sucked so bad that you wanted Alonso to do well, and you were expecting Lindor to suck kind of again. And you're sitting there going like, dude, you're the only one that's been good every year. Like, what is wrong with you? Because everyone else sucks. Like, you've always been the rock. And that's why he got all this like heavy, like put on his shoulders. But guess what he did? He kept grinding, put a smile on his face, gritted his teeth, and became the polar bear again. The dude had 34 home runs, 46 the year before, 40 the year before that, 37 the year before that. Like he's been consistent on a down year, 34 and 88. He played every single damn game, bro. Yeah. Every single game. I get it, first base, but every single damn game, that means something this day and age. It hit 240, which is still 23 points better than the year before. 23 points better than the year before, and everybody was praising him as being the stud, and he hit better this year in some ways. In some ways. OPS plus, which is a metric that we use like to say how do you compare the rest of your league. 100 is exactly average. He was 23% better. So 123, which is the exact same it was the year before. You know, and again, like his average on OPS plus is 134. That's really because he had 2 years that were just incredible. Yeah. And every other year he's like 124, like 123, like he's there. So this was exactly a year for him. It just, he has so much stress. Okay. Couple things. One, I think the Mets need him back. I think he's a New York Met. He doesn't. I could see him as a Yankee a little bit, but I really just see him as a Met, and I see him a Met for life. And I see him like finishing. He just has that like. I just see his jersey dirty and just a little grimy and just like wanting to work and wanting to. I don't see him in that perfect, beautiful white pinstripe uniform in the Yankees and being perfect. I could see it work, though. I do see the Yankees having a play in this. Rizzo, I'm sorry. Great career. Done. Whoever else is there. Who is that? Rice?
Yeah.
Who's the other guy?
Gone. Done.
Just you're not it. You're not quite it. When you have an opportunity to bring in an Alonso, again, like if the Yankees brought in Bregman and Alonso, I'm looking at that lineup going, oh, I
look at it and saying,
I need a lefty back. I need some lefties. I need a lefty in right field or lefty somewhere else. Like I need other lefties in there somehow. I got to figure that out because that's a lot of righties. But again, it's 2025. There's a lefty righty matchup isn't the same as it used to be. But that's a lot of righties in the lineup. One team you did not list here, which I think is going to be a player in this, which would be really interesting, depending on one guy you left off the list, who I'm actually very disappointed you left on the list, Christian Walker. These are the Diamondbacks.
Too old.
They are what?
Too old.
No. You're not listening to me.
Oh.
Alonso to the
going to the Diamondbacks
because depending on what they do with Christian Alonso, though the Diamondbacks need a power hitting first baseman. Christian Walker. What did I say?
You said Christian Alonso.
Christian Alonso.
Hey, that's Christian Walker and Pete Alonso's son.
Bring them together. Bam, pow, boom. We got this. But I think that's a team you're missing in this. I do like the Mariners in this as well. But the Diamondbacks, I think, will be players because they're going to have a need at that exact position if they don't bring back Christian Walker. So I think that's one of those things you're looking at, a team with the Diamondbacks that are built to kind of win now. Like they're built for now, so they're going to be players in somebody, but they're not going to be able to give out the 6-year $250 that other teams are going to get out.
Right.
Anyways, this brings us to our number one free agent, Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, and I've been thinking about this contract for a long, long time.
Oh, Juan Soto. I mean, what do I say about Juan Soto? Like, it's the weirdest thing. It's what he did with the Nationals, what he did with the Yankees. Like, his bad years were still pretty good years when he was with San Diego, right? Like, the stud. This is everything you grow up to be as a 26-year-old free agent.
Yep.
And World Series champion, just all around incredible baseball player.
Yeah.
So and difference maker. And that's the thing. You're just not a good baseball player. You're a difference maker. The question is, what is this contract going to look like?
Here's my question before we get into the contract. What age do you believe a player starts to go on their downswing?
I think when you get to 34.
Okay, so I think it's actually...
I would say 33 is the downswing. 34, 35, like you're pushing it. I mean, you can get to some of those starting pitchers that can go into later. Like we've seen that. That's no problem. But I think nowadays with how pitching is used, you're not going to see that much anymore.
Okay. So I look at Juan Soto and I say, you know what? I want him. I want him on my team really bad, but it's going to cost me a lot of money. So I am going to take I'm going to take a page out of Steve Cohen's book and what he did with Verlander and what he did with Scherzer. And I am going
trade him and then eat their contract.
Will you shut up? I'm trying to make a point here and you're trying to be a smartass. That's my job. I'm going to give Juan Soto $650 million over 13 years, but I'm going to structure it very differently than any other contract in the history of baseball. I'm going to give him $350 million in those first 6 years, so I can guarantee that I get him for his peak years, and then I'm going to give him an opt-out after that 6th year, so that way he has 7 years, $300 million left, so he can opt out, go to another team when he's still 31 years old, and I got him for his best years, and I'm off the hook for those crap years at the end of the contract.
Generally, people offer the contracts the other way around, so when the money isn't as valuable, they're eating the money, right? Like the Ohtani type of deal, like when the money's cheaper. So you sign $40 million now, it's actually only worth like $20 million when you get to it. Mm-hmm. It's an interesting thing. I mean, that's the interesting thing about him signing. I find him, who he signs with, way less interesting than how they're going to structure the deal. And Ohtani changed the world, right? Changed the game again. Somehow, if the unicorn figures out a way to change the game. Shocker, right? So that's gonna be my interesting thing is who's gonna sign him. Okay, that's obviously a change Major League Baseball game changer. How are they gonna structure it? Like, we all know the numbers. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be, $400 to $700 million, somewhere in there, depending on how many years and all this stuff and opt-outs and all this crazy stuff. I do think that's smart. I think it's actually smart to even pay him even a little bit more, and then opt out every year and be like, all right, at any point you can go. Like,
no, I wouldn't want to do that.
I would, because at that point, even if he has a great year with you and then he wants to opt out and becomes another free agent, like, the chance of likelihood that he's going to have another great year at those ages, right, at 32, at 33.
Oh, you're talking after the 6 years.
Yeah. After the 6 years, then you give him opt out every single year, and he might hit gold again.
Yeah,
I'm good. I don't want to be on the to do that again is so unlikely, especially that the fact that he's already had so many years under his belt and he's 26. Like, that's going to catch up, dude. I don't care when it starts; it's going to catch up. I think the Yankees have to be front runners for what we saw this year or what we're seeing. They got to be number one. After that, my personal thing, and you put them on the list, is the Nationals. The Nationals, I think, are going to be a lot bigger players in this than we think. They have a lot of money to spend, a whole lot of young players. The sells that we're going to keep improving as we come along. You're going to be obviously the face, and we're going to sell this. It makes a lot of sense to me. The Mets obviously make sense as well. The Dodgers, I just don't know if the Dodgers will be able, again, I don't want to put it against the Dodgers in anything, but at some point that money is going to catch up.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have, X amount of money for Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Soto all hitting at the same time. And at the same time, like, all those guys having certain ages that are good at just hitting, and that's how you kill an organization pretty quick. Like, the money's going to catch up, and it's just not catching up now for the Dodgers. It will catch up. And I think people throw their names out there. Oh, they're players. Like, the only way they survive is if they front load the money and eat the sour, but then they're going to be eating money. I don't think the Dodgers are complete players in this. I might be totally wrong, but I see this as a Mets heavy, Nationals heavy, Yankees
Yankee heavy,
exceptionally heavy, and then the Orioles and Blue Jays will be interesting players too. Santander going out. I think the Orioles this is an incredible opportunity for Orioles to get a young player that is a salty veteran to play with those other guys, and the Blue Jays have to somehow jump in and do something, because that whole front office, to me, they're even still around. I have all the respect for them in the world.
Right.
How the fact that they're still around blows my mind.
Listen, I mentioned it months ago. The Orioles are the dark horse. They have a billionaire owner. They have a lot of young players. If they can sign Soto, and they have Henderson, and they have Adley, and then somehow they keep Corbin Burnes, that is a team that's going to be good for a few years. I still think the Mets are the front runner, not because I'm a Mets fan. I just think Steve Cohen has been licking his chops waiting for Soto for the last couple of years. And we've seen that he can be very creative when it comes to contracts. And I would not be shocked if Uncle Steve watches this show and says, you know what, James got a point. Let me give him a lot of money up front, and then he can opt out at 31. So let's get him in his prime years. I think it is a match made in heaven. Do you like my theory on the front loading of a contract with him? Because it's $56 million a year that you'd be paying him, but the AAV would be lower.
So what? He's gonna get it. He's gonna be getting so much money in general. I think it makes a lot of sense. But don't forget with Baltimore. I mean, Jackson Holliday, Colton Cowser, Mountcastle. Like, there's so many other guys there, and that's just the lineup, right? And the rotation. You not even get to the rotation and stuff. There's so many young guys there to have somebody like him, and again, wants that spotlight, wants that energy that like Baltimore would just fall over for him, I think, too. And you don't have to give the prospects up. That's the beautiful part about this. Baltimore would do the same thing they've always done, not give up prospects and get the superstar. I think it fits. It's a great fit. I just don't know if they have the mentality yet to spend with the Yankees how they used to spend with the Yankees.
And think about this, though. If he went to Baltimore and you have a surplus of great hitters, what do you do when you have a surplus? You get rid of them. So if you have... I'm sorry?
Yeah, you got to move.
Yeah, if you have Jackson Holliday, or you have Colton Cowser, you have Kjerstad, guess what? somebody will give you a pretty damn good pitcher for one of those 3 prospects. And you still have a great lineup because you have Soto. Again, I'd love to see him as a Met. From a baseball standpoint, wow, it'd be great if he was an Oriole.
Yeah, and I might, I mean, crazy stuff here. I don't know if it would ever happen, but like you make a run at like trade one of those guys and another piece for Spencer Strider. You're taking a chance on him, like a guy coming off an injury like that. I don't know if Atlanta would ever do it. I don't even know if they've got so many spots in their lineup too, but they got a lot of those guys are now going to be hitting free agency in a year and a half here, in 2 years. Like that, they might be perfect replacement guys type of thing. Anyways, that's way ahead of ourselves. But let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments who you have as your top 10, where James is wrong, where I'm right. Throw it out there. There's so much fun that goes into this. If you got numbers on any of these guys that you can guarantee, let's hear it. If your team, you're like, this is our one target we should be going for, or this is the fun package we should be trying to sign. Like I love that idea with the Yankees, sign a right fielder, third baseman, right field, but sign Bregman, sign Pete Alonso or Christian Walker. I think Christian Walker, guys, so underrated as a stud. He just had a down year, and then when he got healthy, it was an incredible year.
34 though.
34, but sign him for 2 years, whatever it is, pay him for 2 years, and that he'll be perfect in New York. And then sign a starter or sign a free agent. Anyways, if you have ideas, let us know, and we'd love to hear from you.
And don't forget to go to Top Velocity Pro.
Top Velocity Pro for all your pitching player development needs. Come on out to Top Velocity Pro. It's, again, every episode is sponsored from Top Velocity Pro. I get so excited about the free agents. I forget about my own sponsorship.
And I get 10% of anybody that comes on.
Come on out. Yes. But thank you for tuning in to Closers, brought to you by Man Cave Sports. And we'll see you next time.